I went to a predominantly white private school from 1st grade to 6th grade in Portsmouth. I was in the 4th grade, and I liked a girl who wasn't the same complexion as me. She was a white girl. I asked her out. I'm like in the 4th grade, but I ended up figuring out that she couldn't be with me because she was afraid that she would tell her mom that she was dating a black boy. So it was really weird to me. It's even weird for me telling the story. How do you accept at 9 years old that you can't be with somebody because of your skin complexion?
I am black and blonde and very light, and my family is not. The color of my skin and the color of my hair did not signify quickly that I was black. I'm not black from a distance. I went to a all-white school. I made a friend, and I went to her house. When her mother found out that I was the sister of those kids with the big afros, I was no longer welcome in her house. That's the moment. That whiteness kept me out of her house. And I didn't know what to say to my mother, why I couldn't go there anymore, or how to explain it to my sister. Like, I just wasn't allowed because they saw who I belonged to, whose people I was.
We were in the car, my mother, my father. As we were driving down the road, the police pulled our car over. And I remember the policeman coming up to the car, distinctly asking my father for his license, looking in. There was some sort of a discussion going on that I couldn't understand. And then finally he said, "Get out of here." So when we left, it started to dawn on me that at that moment we were stopped because this police officer thought that my father was driving in a car with a white woman and 4 kids that he didn't know from where, and wanted to make sure she wasn't white. When I finally realized what this all meant, my mother is biracial. My father, very dark-skinned, in a car driving from a ghetto into a suburb, being stopped because the police wanted to verify that he was in fact driving with a black woman, not a white woman. And that's when I realized that there was a perception that was something wrong with me, the darker version.
I remember being a freshman in high school. I was a part of this field trip. We were sitting in this hotel room waiting for the buses to come and get us. And I was drinking a Coke. And I put my Coke can down. I had to go outside. I can't remember what it was for. When I came back in, I sat down, and there was a young white girl sitting next to me, and she reached for the Coke can. And the guy said, no, don't drink that. Felt a little awkward, but drank my Coke, and we kept talking. And then we got on the buses, and we went back home. The young white girl started crying. And she said, they told me later that everybody in the room spat in your Coke while you were outside. And that's why they didn't want me to drink out of that can. And I'm so sorry. I've never talked about that publicly. I've never told that story. But those kind of things happen when you're a person of color.
I'm still at that age when I was kind of carefree. But it felt as though it was that moment of awareness. I really saw myself in the mirror, I think, for the first time. And I remember seeing myself and being shocked at who I saw. And I remember thinking, oh, that's why people look at me. I grew up in a town where there was nobody that looked like me. My adoptive parents, who I only call my parents, mom and dad, they're white. And it's sort of all, I remember it all kind of coming like, oh. It just suddenly, there was clarity. And it was later on when I was in high school, I remember seeing when that clarity did become a negative, when I was seen as other